Hi everybody, Scotty Hickman here from Mid-Lachlan Landcare. Andrew Wooldridge and I decided today we'd have a bit of a run around the Mid-Lachlan area to have a bit of a look at some of the multi-species cover cropping that's going on. It's a really good season. We're looking at above 500 mils rolling average rainfall for this year, for 2020, which is fantastic. So some of these cover cropping paddocks that have been put in earlier this year are showing full potential with that amount of rain. I'm here with Red McConnell. We're up at Bowen Park Road up towards Orange, and we have a magnificent paddock here of cover cropping. I had a quick look at the species count, and there's about 13 species that have been sown in here from a fellow down at Northern Victoria by the name of Grant Sims, which is fantastic. Just thought we'd ask Red a few questions about why you've put the cover crop in, what's the outcomes you'd probably like to get out of putting this sort of many species into this paddock. Red, why so many species, and what was the outcome you wanted to get for the soil and
Yep.
land?
So my initial idea, the country has a history of being flogged pretty badly with sheep, and yeah, it's had its fair share of poisons on it. Probably not this section here, but a lot of the more arable land has. So yeah, I wanted a soil health thing more than anything. Obviously the feed was important, the amount of feed that we got, not that we have much stock left, but yeah, mostly a soil health benefit. And you know, the studies, well, not studies that I've done, but the events that I've been to, you know, we're talking about having more than 9 species, which all of this was sprayed out before I put everything in, which was not what I wanted to have happen, but we did have a very good crop of catheads before that, and obviously it has a weed burden in the seed bank that's been here forever. So yeah, so we sprayed it all out, and we've put this in early April, and it's just phenomenal. And along with the 13 species that went in there, there's probably another 13 species of weeds that are in there as well. So we're probably up around the 20 species all interacting together in the ground.
And no fertiliser, Red?
No fertiliser. Grant put a vermicast cover on the seed for me when he sent it up, which was good. He wanted to see how that would help, which I don't have a control without it, so I can't really say. But yeah, so no fertiliser, and yeah, I don't even know what most of these plants are, but they look like they're pretty edible, and they look like they're doing the job that they're supposed to.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's really good to hear that you've actually got a bit of a goal in mind, because these things can be quite expensive to put in, and I think if we have a bit of a goal and a vision of what we want to do, that'll help with the species mix you're going to put in. And looking at this, you can imagine the amount of energy that is being pumped in the soil.
Yep.
And also some of these deep-rooted plants. We'll dig up a couple here in a minute to have a bit of a look, but to help with the hard soil. So obviously the soil, the country's been pretty hard as well.
It's very hard. This, especially the red country. The black country is really good.
Yep.
But yeah, this red country on the slopes is pretty horrible.
Yep.
So.
And animals enjoy having this variety of feed as well?
Yeah, they're loving it. The next paddock over here, I've got 19 head in there. They've been there for a while. They've done, you know, pretty much what I put it in here for. Yes, they've eaten it, but they've walked a lot of it into the ground as well. So, you know, they're putting that biomass back into the ground for the future.
Yep. No, it's really good to see. So you can imagine the cycles that are working really well here is the energy cycle, obviously with sunlight. You're pumping, the amount of liquid carbon that would be getting pumped in the soil would be huge. So that's actually feeding biology in the soil as well. So I think that's a really positive one too. The water cycle's working better. Yeah, there's a whole heap of things that are working here with such a great mix. So it looks fantastic. So we're going to dig a bit of stuff up and have a bit of a look at the soil and see what's going on. But it's really good. Looks excellent. Wow! Look at that.
There's all your fungi.
Yeah?
Around the top there. All in there.
Yeah, get that.
Look.
Give me that
See
shot.
that? Sorry. All that fungi up alongside the
Balls. Here's some of the tillage radish, or daikon radish as they call it. And you can see the amount of force it is actually driving into the ground and how big it is. So you can imagine what that's doing to compacted soils. We've also got some oats here as well. Quite a good root system building on the oats as well. It has hit a bit of a hard pan underneath, but you can imagine the force it's using to drive down through that looks absolutely fantastic. So that's one of the great effects we can do with a multi-species cover cropping. So we're in a paddock here that's next door that's being grazed, and you can see how much the animals enjoy it. Some of the big radishes that have had the tops taken out, there's also a few of these big radishes that have been pulled out of the ground to be eaten. Magnificent ground cover, as you can see. A few happy cattle in here, and you can see where we were before in the stuff that hasn't been grazed of yet. But amazingly, how much ground cover, how much diversity, how much improvement in the water cycle is actually happening here too, and the amount of biomass is just huge. Righto, we're at our second site here now for today, and we thought we'd come and have a look at a different area in the Mid-Lachlan Landcare area. We're up at Robbie Watt's property at Walleye, which is just east of Canowindra. And as you can see, there's another multi-species cover crop here. Robbie, you've been doing this for a few years now, 5 years or so?
Yeah, this will be the 5th year.
5th year. What's in the mix here?
There's wheat, oats, barley, triticale and cereal rye, purple top turnip and arrowleaf clover.
Yep, so a good mix. Probably which we were sort of trying to find out. I mean, obviously you put a cover crop in for a reason. What outcomes are you looking for as far as this cover crop here?
Well, I need winter feed for the sheep, and the multi-species is good for the sheep. The sheep do well on it. They don't scour. And you know, if you've got a hard paddock or something, to open the paddock up and introduce different bacteria with each different plant, they do well together.
So you're finding your other paddocks that you've done in the past have had a big improvement the next few years after you've done a multi-species cover crop?
Yeah, they've got an improve. It's probably just a gradual improve. It's not a big jump, but
yeah.
It is an improvement.
Yeah, it is an improvement. And it looks like you've the stock have only just come out of here, what, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, this was grazed earlier on, but I had to shift the sheep to put them on another paddock that needed grazing, so I'll bring some lambs in here later on.
Yeah.
Normally you'd leave the stock in here and they'd pull up and eat all them turnips. They'd
right.
eat probably 50% of them, but there's still plenty left.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear about the increasing soil biology, but also balancing that gut of the animal is really important. So it's mirroring, biodiversity in nature basically. So no, that's very good. But it's pretty impressive, Robbie. The rye corn's really good too.
Yeah, rye corn's one of the first things you'd sow because it's a very fibrous plant.
Yeah.
It'll stop the sheep from scouring and that in the winter time. It's quick growing.
Yep. No, it looks very good. Excellent, Robbie. Thank you. Thought this is a really good place to finish today after seeing two very different multi-species cover cropping in the area of Mid-Lachlan. This is my place, Oatley, at Canowindra, and we've just come to have a bit of a look at a paddock that we did about probably 2.5 years ago with a multi-species, sown with a disc seeder as well. You can see there's a lot of grass here, a lot of feed. It's around about 80 odd days since stock were in here, and there's been an explosion in a fantastic year. Now we put the cover cropping in to try and change some soil biology, get some depth in our soil. Wanted the liquid carbon cycle to work as well. We also wanted to cover some ground. It's an old cropping paddock. As you can see here with some of the soil that we've dug up here, this is underneath a big fescue plant. The amount of root depth is huge. There's beautiful soil colour in here. It's functioning, the water cycle's really working really well. And it's nice to see roots really driving in at depth. We also have some self-sown rye corn, and again, there's fungi in the soil as well. There's good depth. The plant is really healthy. like to see that colour change as well. So there's a lot of self-sown fescue. I haven't sown fescue in here. Lucerne, there was a little bit of lucerne put in some of the cover crop mix. But also, this is the other one. The woolly pot vetch has exploded. There's a lot of it in this paddock, and it just keeps building each year, which is absolutely brilliant. So for us, we're hitting a bit of a goal, and it's one of the reasons why we continue to keep doing the multi-species.